What's up? Crowie here with my main man, C Doggy Dog.
What's up, everyone? How you been, Crowie?
Is that the first time you've been called C Doggy Dog ever?
Maybe Doggy Dog. I've probably been called Sea Dog before. I've
I
got
got,
no doubt about that.
I got called G Banger this morning.
G Banger. I
First,
don't know if that is
yeah.
condescending, uplifting, or just a nice thing to say.
If it was from Elodie, I'd be like pretty frothing, but it was from one of our clients. It was
From
like,
a, from a dude.
sucked. Yeah, maybe a follow up with send nudes, perhaps. I don't know. See what happens. See what happens.
Send nudes. That's awesome. I like
Uh,
that.
Send nudes. That's funny. One time, we were buying a house, and this guy, this guy fully stitched me up. Like he agreed to our price, and then basically said he had like it was a pretty hot market back in the Sutherland Shire, maybe 2015, and he was like, it's like, oh, I think I put an offer in for whatever, and it got accepted, right? And then he comes back and goes, "Oh, actually, the client wants more." I think he just thought that I was going to go for it, and then and I just full ghosted him because we had our eyes on somewhere else at that point,
Yeah.
which was only because he said, no, like the client wants more money. I didn't think it was worth more money.
Yeah.
Anyway, comes back to it. We actually bought the other house, and he was calling me like 3 times a day. He's kind of a friend, but like maybe not the ideal person, you might say. Anyway, so my mate gets my phone and he goes, "Please call me back, please call me back." And mate goes, "Only if you send nudes." And I got no nudes. So we did not call him back. Long story short, but the funny thing is that guy was actually, he raised the bar of the price, and
Yeah.
basically didn't sell it for that, and it went back to the price that we had. So pays to be honest, I think, in that regard. Play the long strategy wherever you're at. Don't play the short term, oh, I can get more money from that person, or more out of that person for less money. Talking about staff. We are talking about staff today. Bit of a tangent at the start, but I wanted to reference, I sit with a lot of people most weeks, just our clients and people that sort of coming onto the platform, and I can usually hear in the first, I don't know, like honestly, when we're going through our calculator and you've got to enter your staff member, whether they're a weapon, whether they're very good or average, and I mean, I've got very bad and bad, but you don't go down there very much. But it's amazing what we're talking about today. It's amazing what people will put up with out of a staff member. So sitting with someone, they're like, "Oh, I got Joey, he's a weapon. Oh, I got Jimmy, he's a weapon. Oh, I got Susie, she's a weapon." And like, "Oh, yeah, I've also got Ricky." You can just hear it. I'm like, "Tell me more about Ricky. I want to hear about Ricky." And Ricky, in inverted commas, if you're listening to this, I am holding both fingers up. Ricky. You probably know a Ricky. You'd probably work with a Ricky. You'd probably employed a Ricky if you've been around business, because sometimes I think we are too quick to hire and too slow to fire. Now I get it, not everyone should be fired. You shouldn't be Donald Trump and just fire everyone, but sometimes we will put up with so much for so long, and it's actually too long. So I was talking to this guy, and he told me about, let's just call it Ricky, and I was, was like, "Tell me more about that." Long story short, we get into it, and he's basically going, this happened 3 times in 1 week, right? And basically the crux of the story, one of them got called by their best client and said, "Hey, either this guy goes or you go." This is like a long-term good client, right? So ding, 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 here comes
So
the red flag.
this is the client ringing the
This
business
is the client
owner.
ringing the business owner. Yeah, yeah. That's one of them. The other one wasn't performing, and it's getting calls from other staff members saying, "Hey, I don't want to work with this person." Ding, ding, red flag. One of the other guys didn't even want to go to his own company because of how this person was just like hopeless. And I was like, I guess it's funny because I've definitely put up with this in my business. I remember walking through, looking at this fit off, first day for this guy, going like, "He's not going to make it. Like this guy sucks." Kept him for 4 years. Why? Because I was busy. It was just silly. I think we talked about that in a couple of previous ones, but it's so prevalent and so relevant that people hold on to underperforming staff members. So I was like, break down, let's call him Joey now. Break down Joey for me. What happened? Well, when did you know? And he goes, "Oh, straight away." Like I knew within the first day, first week, and I was like, and it's been 3 years. And anyway, so basically, long story short, push came to shove. the guy got politely removed from the company. And I said, "How are you feeling?" He said, "Like I just did a big turd." That's the text message. I can't even make that up. Like I just did a big turd. And I was like, I get it, that feeling of relief, that feeling of like, oh my gosh. And I remember for me having that big moment, like it's my business, it's my culture. I choose who we work for and I choose who we work with. And I think the biggest thing you see is people hiring in a frantic, like a lot of times hiring does, like, let's face it, it's very, very detrimental to your bottom line if you hire before the workload is there. I was like, I'm just going to hire and put a van. If I see someone with a van in the driveway, just because, I'm like, dude, that's cooked. Like, that's going to cook your financials so hard. Maybe a little bit, I get it, back in COVID days when, you know, it took you 74 years to get a van across.
Couldn't get a vehicle.
From the depths of Positano. I was like, you're not going to get that thing. But anyway, long story short, I'm like, what is going on in your business? Ask yourself the question, do I enjoy going to work for these people? But if, you know, a lot of times we are quick to hire under necessity, I would even say. And then because we're busy and that person sort of, what do you say, like fills the cup, fills the initial need, fills the dopamine hit of like, now getting through 80 hours. You forget about things like the quality of those 80 hours. You forget about who else is working alongside those hours that person might have. In other words, your other staff members. You forget about things like your clients, like people that got to pay that person, are they worth it? So I'm a massive believer of a 3-month probation will iron out everyone, but like, don't just, if you're feeling that way about like, oh, that person sucks, I don't want them around, maybe you got to ask yourself that deeper question, what's actually going on here? Are they a good fit for the company? And here's the thing, right? A good tradie is worth its weight in gold. Right, a good apprentice is worth their weight in gold. A bad tradie or a bad apprentice, that's going to cost you money. That's going to cost you potentially your clients, potentially your best clients. We all know the rule with best clients. They'll put up with stuff for so long, but not too long. And they'll just be like, I'm done here. Like, what happened? Oh, that's right. I missed 17 red flags on the way. But especially apprentice, don't miss your organic opportunity to create a tradie, because too many people go, oh, that person's average. I'm like, okay, so that means they're going to be an average tradie. So when you need a tradie, you're trying to create a tradie, and when you need one, you're not going to have it because you didn't choose right. You chose wrong, and then you made a bad choice and you stuck to it. Like it's like buying sausages and then like buying 50 kilos of sausages and then being like, I'm going to eat sausages for the whole year. And it's like, at some point you got to recognize you made a mistake. You bought too many sausages. You need to throw them out or give them away. Like, and I think like that's the crux. Like, are you happy going to work? Are your employees performing? Are your apprentices going to turn into excellent tradies? Because that's what you need. That's what you want. And it's just because you made a bad decision doesn't mean you need to stick to it. Rant over can.
Yeah, wow. Are you're not holding on to anything? Like, do you think you've got it all off your chest there?
Just need to sip my coffee. No, I'm just calming down. I'm just trying to calm down. But like, it gets me revved up because I'm like, I've been that person employing these people that I wasn't happy with, and that almost cost me what I worked so hard for, my clients, right? And I was like, am I willing to pay this mature age person who's underperforming $50,000 a year? Because there's plenty of people that will appreciate that and get trained, and you know, and yeah.
No, I think it's all valid reasons. I think it doesn't matter where you're at in the stage of your own business. Even if you're listening to this and you haven't got your own business yet, I think you could probably relate to a lot of this across your journey, working in other places, just working within teams, generally speaking, that you can probably recognize different scenarios of different relationships that, I guess, working relationships that you have with people, or the working relationships within a business. I think that's probably, let's call it like the ecosystem of a business sort of thing. There's so many moving parts, and like sometimes it's just purely personalities clash. It's not the gelling of it doesn't work. Like, it can be really good people and it just doesn't quite gel in a relationship sense. It could be just quite simply, like you touched on, then just like a performance based issue, in regards to, hey, like it's just not where we need it to be within our business, or what isn't acceptable. And I think also too, the flip side of that, or not flip side, but then on the other end of that too, is that sometimes it's like a bit of a combination of just a few things.
Bit of a Chinese combination
Yeah,
plate.
a bit of a Chinese combination. I think the
Late Susan combination plate coming round.
yeah, I think the ones that really really sort of comes out is that, I guess, it is okay to recognize this and have an understanding that it's not just quite working out the way you thought it was. And it's okay to have these feelings and sort of have these thoughts around it all. I think it's perfectly natural to have it, to sort of have an expectation and have a standard that you want to set for your business. And when you sort of draw that line in the sand, or sort of maybe not even draw the line in the sand, create that, I guess, expectation, you're allowed to have reasonable, or like cause for reasonable sort of, understanding within the team that like this is just what isn't accepted, and you can create a standard that you're willing to accept. Now, I probably more want to touch on the fact that, like, is it easy to do? I'm going to say it's not. The reality is that you generally have a lot of moving parts and a lot of balls in the air, so to speak. Like you're like a clown at the circus. You're juggling a lot of things. So generally speaking, why Crowie had that story around, like it went from he was no good after one day to 1,200 or 1,344 days later. It was like, yeah, no, he's still no good. Is because
it doesn't sound great, does it?
no. So like, but the reality is that you're busy, and I think this is probably where I sort of come into it. I think, or not come into it, a thought that I have around it a lot is that I think you have a lot of good intentions when you start a business. Like you have a genuinely good intentions at heart, and I think one of them is that how you want to make good people. You want to make good Sparkies. You want to make good apprentices. You want to you have an ability to impress on people and maybe improve them and develop them and make them, I don't know, better people is probably like the loose term that you could probably wrap it up into. And the thing with that is that it's very hard to do because people come from all walks of life, different backgrounds, different cultures, different ways of doing things, different things that are expected and not expected. And the old saying that a leopard doesn't change its spots, the reason that there is a saying like that is because there's an element of truth to it. I'm not going to say it's black and white, but I do believe there's an element of truth to it. And I think if you're speaking to someone who's a little bit older and a little bit more experienced and been in business for a very long time, is that the intentions that you go in with, I would say that if you speak to someone who's been around the traps for 30 or 40 years in business, they will probably overwhelmingly sort of say that, like, hey, the majority of people, what you see and what you get at the beginning is what you see and what you get. That's the reality of that person. With all the good intentions to be like, oh no, I can spin this person around, it's very hard to spin people around. So in turn then, in Crowie's scenario, when he knew after sort of probably a day or two, and it took him 344 days, is there was an element of, hey, I was really, really busy, but also too, you probably had really good intentions at heart.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think optimistic is a great trait of a business owner. There's better days ahead. That job sucked, but what about the next one? You start a business probably because you see the brighter side, the better side, the future. You want that house, that acreage.
Optimistic, naive,
And, well, that's also the same. But generally speaking, business owners are quite optimistic, and you do need that element of like optimism, I think. But I remember getting this phone call. I can't remember if I shared this story before or not, but there was a girl that came up to me, which wasn't uncommon. No, it was like a friend of a friend. Anyway, she's like, "Oh, my brother just lost his job," and I was like, "Oh, what for?" He's second-year apprentice, and I'd later find out that he was working at a school and did a wee, right? I think not in the toilet, put it that way, maybe on a something, which is like probably grounds for a police report, like instant dismissal, right? Anyway, so I was like, I'll give him a chance, and we had a couple of jobs where I sort of needed him, and I think the second day or third day he came in with he was called in sick, and he had some bad Chinese food, which we know he's kidding, right? Lazy Susan, no one has ever in their life had bad Chinese food. That's ridiculous.
That's not easy. Just because it's been re-deep fried 4 times doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, no, it's good. And then and anyway, so he and then obviously some things just kept presenting themselves and resurfacing, and I had to basically cut it. But I remember he probably got 3 or 4 more chances when I was younger in business than when I was later on in business. As I got older, a bit more wiser, a bit more of that like wise owl head on you that's going like, no, I've seen that before. I'm not happy with this. Anyway, that guy ended up to start a business. Anyone listening or like was around my time in the area will find this really funny. The guy went on to start a business and basically undercut the whole like area and ended up with his tires slashed. It was hectic, right? It was hectic time. Yeah, wild times. But I don't know. I didn't personally slash his tires, nor would I know how to. I'd be worried that like the knife would bounce back and what do you do it with? I don't even know. This is pre-multi-tool. Multi-tool would probably be the dream on that thing. But anyway, I think it's like classic case of business owner, head in sand optimist, but not feet grounded in reality. And I'm a big believer that you need your feet in the sand, but you also need to, so in reality, like where are you currently at, but where do you want to get to? And is this person going to be part of the journey that's going to take you from where you are to where you want to be? And too many people hire out of total necessity and they get it, and they get through the hours, and it's super dangerous because it's like that person's got your shirt on, they're representing you, they're representing your company, your values, what kind of like, what quality work you do, what materials you use, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And it's quite dangerous when you think about it from top down that so many of us just let these people go, like Moses, let my people go to these sites, and you're going through all this work, and it can be quite dangerous. So my biggest thing is to be like, and I want to do a part 2 of this podcast. So in wrapping up part 1, I think you need to recognize where you're currently at, and then are these people coming with you and coming alongside you and part of your posse, part of your clan, part of your cult, if you're that way inclined, into the future. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to wrap it. I'm just like, you got to be optimistic, of course, see the best in people, of course, but also if someone's shown you something 3 or 4 or 5 times, okay, maybe we might need to take that on board. But I'd love to do a part 2 of like the red flags that sort of push this point into it. But what's your sort of wrap up here, Cam? What are you thinking?
Oh, I just think, I think around it is, if you can find someone to have a chat to about it, someone who's sort of been there before.
Like outside your world, though.
Outside of your world, yeah. So outside of the electrical world as such, like someone who's just, may manage people in, it can be any type of business. It doesn't really matter because the people, the product is changing, but the people don't, if that makes sense. So you still got to manage people. You've still got KPIs to meet or expectations to meet, however you want to phrase it in whatever industry. So I think sometimes if you can have a chat to people, because a bit of a sounding board outside of your industry can sometimes give you, I guess, the perspective that sometimes you need to have a look at it. Because you're sort of looking at, Ricky, he's a good dude. We catch up at the pub and he surfs and all that sort of stuff. So like he ticks lots of boxes. But those boxes might be, if we're ranking them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most important, these things are like 1 to 3. yeah, they play a role in it, like of setting up your culture and that sort of stuff. But the things that need to be a 10 aren't, and the things that are being like good bloke, yeah, it's a 10, but it's like terrible like communication, never does a job card, always late, like those sorts of things, not very good on the tools, like those sorts of things, they're the red flags. So um, having someone I think outside that you can have a conversation with, because I would generally say that you probably start to get this feeling in your gut of like, oh, and then you sort of like suppress that feeling, because as tradies, we're very good at suppressing our emotions and our feelings. And you suppress it because I don't have time for that today. I'm super busy. I've got A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. I just went through the whole alphabet to do, including Z. Um, and so in turn, what happens is you sort of keep letting it roll on rather than confronting it and dealing with the situation. And I think that's where someone, in the sense of, who you could have a chat with, it could be like, your old man, or it could be someone that who's been in business, or it could be another tradie that you met on a like the carpenter or the builder or someone like that from another lifetime or another world, that you can have that conversation with, because it's just, I think the good things that are within us as business owners actually can probably be a bit of a handbrake, particularly in the beginning, because that eternal optimism and positivity can sometimes be a little bit can lead us to be a bit misguided.
100%. And I think when you're talking to someone outside your, outside your world, just make sure it's not someone jumping on the same. We'll all have those people that will, staff now, my staff suck too, everything
Yeah.
sucks. Like, just make sure it's someone with a head on their shoulders can be like, oh yeah, cool. Like, with a practical and logical, maybe not solutions, discussion and potential resolve might
Yeah,
be a
thoughts. Just
like,
even the thoughts around their
all your
experience.
questions, but you just don't want to
Yeah.
get on this like negative train that goes straight to Negville, and all of a sudden everything sucks, and you got this like trauma bond with someone else that you just just bonding over how hard staff are to manage, and how the industry's cooked and business is cooked, and don't do this, 'cause, like, just, yeah, I think got to get your wits about you, because so much wasted time on the neg train. I would suggest. But all right, part 2 coming up after this, and look after yourselves out there. Peace.
Talk soon.